All right, and are we live on the mic there too? Before I call the meeting to order, can I just get a quick sound check from somebody online, a thumbs up or a yes, you can hear us okay?
I can hear you okay.
Fantastic, thank you. And with that, I'll ask everybody online to control their own mute. Please stay muted until it's time for public speaking. And if you're double muted, we'll let you know when we get to that point. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the City Council business meeting of January 13th. And if you would all start by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance, I would appreciate it. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Can I get a roll call, please?
Westwood.
Here.
Paddles.
Yeah. Here.
Daniel. Here. Davis. Here. Ronnie. Yes. Rude. Yep. Tupin. Here.
Thank you. I would like to, at this time, request that everybody put their phones on silent mode or do not disturb if you haven't done that yet. And in the audience, if you would please contain your questions to the point. Some of us have really bad hearing, and if there's two sound streams, it doesn't work at all. So, and the table, remember, outside voices as we talk. We did the roll call already. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented. I'll second.
Motion from Council Member Ronnie, second from Council Member Tupin. Any discussion? I don't think there's anything that we haven't had. There's nothing in the top half that hasn't been discussed multiple times down below, so I think we're good. Seeing no discussion at the table, can I get a roll call, please?
Battle.
Yes.
Daniel. Yes. Davis. Yes. Ronnie. Yes. Rude. Yes. Tupin. Yes.
6-0, motion passes. I'll entertain a motion regarding the minutes of December 9th.
I move to approve the minutes of December 9th, 2025. I'll second.
Motion from Council Member Ronnie, second from Council Member Daniels. Discussion at the table.
Looks good.
Hearing none, let's get a roll call vote.
Battle.
Yes.
Daniel. Yes. Davis.
Yes.
Ronnie. Yes. Rude. Yes. Tupin. Yes.
6-0, motion passes. I'll entertain a motion for warrants payable.
I signed those. They had the total was $214,280. Very, very low.
I'll entertain a motion for warrants payable.
Really low. And
I'll entertain a motion for warrants payable.
I move to approve. But I wasn't done.
Pardon?
I wasn't done.
No, you do that before we talk about it.
Oh, I have a couple things. You might are wondering why it's so low. It's because we didn't have to pay construction or engineers. But $48,000 was to Republic, and $48,000 was to. I guess we finished up on Great West. I think was a big check.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, you all remember Lee Nellis? He was going to do the build-out survey, and he wanted first-class tickets. So I signed off on his ticket, but it was $2,500, but there was no airplane ticket in there. So don't know about that yet.
So that was a motion from Councilmember Rude and a second from Councilmember Tupin.
Correct.
And discussion at the table. There's any other question? Who was the other person who helped sign off on warrants?
Excuse me.
Oh, it was the both of you. Any questions from and Jeremy had the opportunity to
observe. Yes.
To observe. I'm sorry. Councilmember Battles had the opportunity to kind of sit in and observe, and we're breaking in on that process as well. So thank you for making your time work in that schedule, and thank you too for doing that. Any other discussion at the table? Roll call vote, please.
Battle.
Yes.
Daniel. Yes. Davis.
Yes.
Ronnie. Yes. Rude. Yes. Tupin. Yes.
All right, 6-0, motion passes. All right, Mayor's comments, and I'm going to do my best to hit everything here. It's been a lot of moving parts in the last week.
5 weeks.
Pardon?
5 weeks.
Well, no, I'm just saying in the last week, and so anyway, lots going on. Very busy week. Rocky Fork, anybody who's driven in the last couple of days, that project was completed this last week, this stage of it, so it is now got topsoil and seeded in it. Still coming next is an RFP for the bank reconstruction project next year, and that'll kind of end up driving on nice new grass, and we'll end up reseeding it after that. So that's where the plan currently is. That also, as we're getting that bank reconstruction, will also give us a chance to see if anything further develops with the adjacent Eagles Nest property. As of this point, there's no developments other than we are aware of funding sources that we are applying for. Second thing is a couple of related topics I'd just like to address is the ice rink. You'll notice that is not on the agenda tonight. However, there's anybody who would like to comment on that, you're still certainly welcome to make public comment, whether it's on the agenda or not. I do anticipate that there is going to be a presentation from Red Lodge Ice coming with their request in 2 weeks at that meeting. My intent is that we'll probably put that in the mayor's comments at the bottom of the mayor's comment section of this, which means it'll occur right before public comment. That'll give everybody a chance to make public comment in the proximity of when that was discussed. Kind of also related on that note, for those of you who've looked at the packets, including council members, you may have noticed we had a very high volume of correspondence, both for and against. A lot of that having to do with the ice rink. Every effort has been made to make sure that we included every email on that. If it made it to Lonnie, have a high level of confidence that it's there. My question is twofold for council members, and I'm still going through my folder to double check to make sure that I saw Lonnie on the 2 line of every one of them. If you have a doubt or a question, please forward those on to Lonnie, and if there's members of the public and you put comments in that you didn't see, please feel free to reach out and we'll make sure to get those included in the next time. Just because of the volume and the fact that we're humans, there's a possibility that something didn't make it. But every effort was certainly made to do that. Looking out a little bit further, there on Saturday, January 24th, I guess I should say what it is because then you know if you want to write down the time. Coming forward, there is going to be a Bear Spark meeting called Bears, put on by it's actually a joint presentation from the sanctuary and our FWP bear specialist and bear technologist, and I'll let them explain the difference between that. That is going to be at the Senior Center on January 24th from 5 to 7 p.m. It does have a little asterisk next to the notice that says no live bears will be present. They didn't want people, so it's bears, but don't come expecting bears. And you'll also be able to join that virtually. There's a link that's now on the webpage. If you look up Bear Smart, or you go to under the community, you can either search Bear Smart. That meeting will be online virtually as well for those who aren't able to join that. By the way, there's also a meeting tomorrow, I believe, at 2 o'clock, and those meetings are going to be available. Anybody who'd like to sit on those meetings virtually, there's a link there too. That's not an official city meeting. It's one of those we are sponsors and part of helping eliminate human bear conflicts in the area. I was going to make sure that I got a copy of anybody who did not get a copy of the Public Works update. There was a hard copy handed out at the Public Works meeting. You weren't there. Ann was there, so you did not, and I may have printed off an extra one. Jeremy, I know, got one. So I think that one of the things that we talked about, yeah, we can get that. One of the things that we talked a little bit about there was a stormwater PER, kind of looking forward. I did execute a change order to go ahead and have them put together basically the 3 funding sources. Mike gave an update on it. This is for a build of a couple of years out, but so like 2028 is when the work would be happening. There is a possibility that if we secure all of those funding sources, this could end up being a $2 million project that doesn't cost us anything. There would be, the change order is just to put together the application for those funding sources, but I think it's fair to note that there would be a council action before we commit any further dollars. Right now, we're paying for that out of our stormwater fund, but if we got there, there would be council action. But I think that's quite a ways out to do that. But just kind of, that was a follow-up to the conversation that happened at Public Works meeting. I think was there anything else from council that they had on my list to do? There's a lot of things in the, like I said, they're going to be coming forth in the hopper as we kind of spin back up again. Questions there? All right. Hearing none, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end mayor's comments. Oh, I don't tap to end mayor comments. The next portion on the agenda is public comment, and I'll tap to open public comment. Again, just a heads up, there will be a public comment at the beginning of the meeting. There will also be a public comment at the end of the meeting. And anytime we have an action item, which on today's agenda is that stuff under number 9, there will actually be public comment before we take action on a per item basis. So I would ask if your comments are related to those things in the action item, hold your comments to that part. But other than that, I encourage everybody to stay engaged, attend meetings, ask questions, come and make public comments is wonderful. Reach out to me, reach out to your council members. And with that, we'll go ahead and open public comment. I will start with those in the room, and after that, we'll go to those online after we've exhausted those in the room. Step forward, and you have 3 minutes.
Hope Smith, 517 North Hauser, but I am reading something from Becky Larson, who also lives on North Hauser, but I don't know her specific address. So this is from Becky Larson. I would like to say this is a historical park that has been here for many years with an MOU with the Lions Park, and it should not be devastated by a piece of concrete that the city will not be able to remove once it breaks down, and it will. I am not sure why the large field up by the post office has not been identified as a possible space. If a permanent concrete slab went up there, children could still do school events on it. This was voiced by one of the ladies interviewed on Q2, that she was looking forward to her kids playing on it and riding their bikes on it. The football fields still have Shelley Field and the high school football field. Not many rural towns have practice and playing fields. There is a parking lot already there with lights. It is so much closer to the very middle of town access. I realize the argument is there that we are just moving the issue from one neighborhood to another, but the difference is this is already a playing field and not a historical park. We need to see the results to several different studies. The citizens of Red Lodge have yet to see a true architectural rendering of the park. We need a DEQ government investigation, an EPA cost analysis, a wildlife impact study, a neighborhood impact study, noise and light impact study, traffic study, economic study, including electricity and water increases for citizens, neighborhood survey, who will be managing this space and who will decide who gets to use it, who will the monies go to when it is a rented space. I think that is it for me. Thanks again. Becky Larson. Oh, here you go. 415 North Hauser Avenue.
Okay. And if you have a copy of that, you can leave, or if you want to forward that to the city clerk, we'll make sure that it gets included in the minutes as well.
Yeah, I'll forward it.
Thank you, Hope.
Lonnie, can you do me a favor when you receive that? Can you send that to me?
All right.
Next.
Go ahead and come up to the speaker so
Okay.
folks online can hear you. Thank you, sir.
Assuming my brain's firing on all cylinders, it should take about 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, you're only down 4 seconds. So.
All right. Okay, my name's Jeff Wise. I live at 560 North Hauser, across the street from the Smiths. So I'd like to address some of the sentiments expressed in letters written to this body in support of the PCTGP grant project. First, no one in opposition to this proposal, even those who live in the immediate neighborhood of the park, has ever stated that they are against any kind of winter sport or activity at the rink, including hockey. The root of the opposition is not NIMBYism. Instead, this is about a radical permanent alteration of over 17,000 square feet, or more than 20% of the landscape of the city and residential neighborhood park, in order to draw more extra local visitors, tournament events, and youth programs to a location that I'd argue was never intended as a site of a winter sports complex, such as that which I think might eventually happen at this site. Is it NIMBYism that the park's neighboring residents might be concerned about the prospect of the venue being outgrown and the negative neighborhood impacts that will accompany that growth? I think not. I think it's common sense concern. Next, none of the opposition is against youth league hockey, the joys of families teaching their kids to skate, a lower cost winter sports option, curling, or whatever. Nor are we against mothers and apple pie. The permanent concrete slab cooling option is not required to make any of these activities possible. Good ice is just as possible with portable cooling mat, the portable cooling mat option. And for the 7 months of the year when ice is not desired, will allow enjoyment of that part of the park by those who prefer natural turf in their view or beneath their feet. Finally, as always lurking within support for anything boosting tourism is the specter of the doom and gloom times of the boarded up storefronts of the 1980s. If this or that project isn't brought to fruition. From past experience, I think it's easily recognized that the various means that have been employed to increase tourism in Red Lodge in the past have often come with costs imposed on significant parts of the community that don't enjoy the benefits of a particular scheme or event. The business community benefits some or all of the rest of the community pays to one degree or another. We're living in significantly different times than the 1980s, and I'm dubious as to any tourism boosting project being a panacea so effective as to prevent a return to those bad old days. The forces that might bring those times back would likely come from far outside Red Lodge and Red Lodge's control. Tourism boosting projects done right that have majority community support are by definition good for the community. Those like this one garnering so much suspicion and concern about not only the end result, but the means of getting there are bound to be controversial. I'd be willing to bet that the proposed rink, if built at Lions Park, will end up being a perpetual source of ill feelings in this town, with its myriad negative impacts being felt most acutely in the surrounding neighborhood. To be certain that this outcome is avoided, to preclude the permanent alteration of the park by paving over such a large part of it, it is my hope that this council and the council subcommittees will be assertive in a manner that guides this process towards what I think is a fair compromise beneficial to all concerned. In other words, a temporary portable mat cooling system that is the only real option in a place that is enjoyed not just by skaters, but many, many others during the non-skating months. Did I make it?
No, but I figured you were close.
I was getting close.
I exercise my executive authority. And if you will send a copy of those comments to Lonnie as well.
She's already got it.
And then did you send a copy of your alternative drawings into her as well?
She's got those.
So at the land use and planning meeting last night, Jeff had brought just some layouts where he kind of looked at and raised other possibilities within the city. So those will be included in the comments next time as well. All right, thank you. Anyone else in the chambers who'd like to make a public comment at this time? Seeing none in the chambers, let me go to online. If you're online and would like to make a public comment, ideally have you turn on your cameras or at the very least raise a hand or take your mic off mute. Currently, I see Angela Getchell. Angela, if you wanted to make a public comment, the floor is yours.
Actually, Mayor, I was just hoping that you would relay the message that you were going to talk about in the mayor's comment about committee members, or do you have that put somewhere else?
No, I do. That was on that page. I said I might skip through and miss something.
Thank
you. Do you want to do that, or you want me to find it and read the comment, or I can read it and you can correct me? How's that?
Yeah, either way.
Go ahead. I'll let you do it. That way I won't embarrass myself.
I might embarrass myself.
Representation of LGBT grant.
Yes. So the Red Lodge Area Community Foundation is the subrecipient of the CDBG planning grant for Red Lodge, with the city being the recipient of that. And we have started that study, and we were just hoping that the mayor would select a couple board members from either the city council or the planning board to be on that steering committee for that project. And so we were just hoping that could be something that was done maybe in the next couple of weeks. My understanding is that you are taking action on the president, the council president in this meeting, and then you will be having another meeting where you will be appointing 2 other committees. So just wanted to share that.
When we make all this questions to the planning board and stuff, there's an addition for a CDBG grant representative from the city council to be involved.
And what is the grant?
It's about a 6-month project commitment, and this is basically, they are doing a housing needs assessment.
Okay.
And the goal is just an appropriate level of sensitivity to make sure that the city is involved and that we are aware and have folks involved in the process.
Thank you.
Angela, when was the last time we did that grant, or did the housing needs assessment?
She hung up.
Oh, it's been a while, quite a long time. So this was the grant that was awarded last year, and we paused it because of the urban renewal, working with Kansas City State University TAB team. So we weren't overlapping studies or just basically overlapping and so these 2 studies, once the Urban Renewal District and the Kansas City State TAB team finishes up their study, our study, the needs assessment study, will hopefully be a resource along with that study that they're doing. So, and I'm happy, you, Jody, and the mayor were actually on those emails that went out for that meeting. So I'm happy to share more if you need it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
We just want you guys to want you guys to be involved. So, have some input on that. So.
And Angela, I apologize. That was one of those when I was going through and figuring out what things to comment or not comment on and trying to do real-time editing in my mind. That was one of the things I goofed. So thank you for being here. I have a witness that'll say, yes, it's there, and it does say we're appointing at the next meeting.
That's fine. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Other public comments online, either raise a hand or take your mic off mute. Going once. Going twice. And 3 times. We'll go ahead and officially close that session of public comment. Again, just a reminder, there will be a public comment at the end of the meeting, as well as at every council meeting. It'll be like that. There's one at the beginning, one at the end, and then on any action items we have there. All right, with that, we are to our action portion of the agenda. The first agenda item we have, and kind of a thread along this week and next week. In fact, it's interesting because we kind of have this week and next week's agendas already mapped out. We had them mapped out a little bit in December just because we know stuff that happens at the first of the year. The first thing we do is that council needs to select a council president. So just a reminder, particularly because we have some folks that are new, the way that'll work is that I will open the floor to I will open the table for nominations, and it's at the table, and we will take nominations for council president. When we think we've heard enough, somebody can make a motion to close council nominations. We will go through and do a vote in order, until we have 4 votes or more, which is what it takes to pass something. If there's multiple people, we'll give people a chance to chat. And then what I will add is, you will notice what's not on the agenda this time, but is on the agenda next time, is those standing committee assignments. While our charter does say that it's the mayor who appoints those, it has been the tradition that those are appointed by the council president. And so what'll happen is the council president will then reach out and work with folks and kind of come back with meetings as far as not only assignments, but the timings of the meetings that works. And it's kind of one of those, what we call the bin packing problem in technology, how to make it all work so that everything fits together. And then some other assignments that we'll take care of next week. But with that, first off, any questions?
Nope.
All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and open the table for nominations for council president.
I nominate Jody Ronning for council president.
I second.
Okay, it doesn't require a second, but I have a nomination for Jody. Are there any other nominations?
Jody, are you willing to serve again?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a motion? Are there any other nominations, or is there a motion to close nominations?
Motion to close.
All right. We have a total of one name. Would you like to say anything?
No, I'd be happy to do it again for another
Okay.
year. Thank you.
I would like to add my support of that. I think Jody has been the best council president we have had in a very long time, and I include the council president not very long before her, which was me. I think she has done a marvelous job. So with that, let's go ahead and do a vote at the table. Roll call, please.
Battles?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie? Yes. Rude?
Yes.
Tupin?
Yes.
6-0.
That was easy.
Motion passes. All right, I will entertain a motion for ordinance 907.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 907, First Amendment, business registration, first hearing. Did I get it all?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Tupin, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table, including potential amendments.
You want to introduce it first, and then we'll do the amendment?
Sounds good. Did you get amendments for this one?
Yes, I did.
Great. Yeah, so ordinance 907 is our business registration ordinance, specifically detailing essentially process for our city clerks, process for local businesses, and some definitions for those business registrations. One of the big reasons that this came to this table or came in for edits was specifically to change it from business licensing to business registration, as well as to make some adjustments to our temporary vendor, or our making a sponsoring vendor registration, essentially, to where a business can opt to sponsor a vendor to support them in paying the resort tax, and essentially eliminating quite a bit of manpower here at the city, as well as by individuals who are operating small businesses. So that was one of the big reasons. The other reason that this came up was we needed to clean up some language and create some process for ordinance 963, specifically regarding short-term rentals. We have chosen to move a lot of that language into ordinance 963, which we will be discussing next. But we had to put in a whole new chapter for it in here because those processes were missing, and decided that it fit better in its own specific ordinance, and this is a more generalized registration ordinance. That's my introduction.
All right. Can I ask you just a procedural question?
Yes.
When you read the motion, did you read off the agenda, or did you read it off the long form?
I read off the agenda, so here I will make a more formal. Ordinance 907 amended the ordinance of the City of Red Lodge, Montana to update Title III, Chapter 1, General Business Registration of the City, or the Red Lodge City Municipal Code.
Okay, let the record reflect that that was the motion. Second still stands?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Other questions at the table?
I did also want to touch on, we did add, just so everyone knows, the temporary vendor. We did add that in there, the temporary vendor registration sponsors. And this was specifically to address like farmers markets, the Arts Guild Fair, if someone wants to have a pop-up market at a store. Basically, you let that person work their business works under your business registration. So they don't have to go out and get their own business registration. They don't have to do the $500 resort bond, tax bond. And the sponsoring business is responsible for having that person collect all the taxes, they have to report it to the city, the sponsoring business does, and the sponsoring business then pays that amount that the business collects to the city. It does help with city staff, not, especially like with the Labor Day Arts Guild Fair, where you could have, 50 different vendors, and our staff having to keep track of all of those in one event. And then it comes with time to report, which is, the end of, October, and they've forgotten that they were over here. And so then city staff is trying to track down resort tax monies and reports, and then they're hit with a $250 or $750 fine, and then they're coming to council. And so we wanted to make that a smoother working relationship, so it didn't leave a bad taste in our temporary vendors. And city staff can rely on a trusted source who already understands their resort tax because they're collecting it already, and they pay for it. So that's why that's in there, the temporary vendor sponsor, just so people understand that.
Okay.
Question?
Yes.
Is this an idea that was taken from another municipality, or who just, y'all thought it up? And resort tax committee, who'd you vet this with?
We did talk about it at our resort tax committee meeting,
Okay.
specifically, and with city staff. They'd already been doing it, it just wasn't in our ordinance.
I think part of it was state language around registration versus licenses was kind of one of the
That
triggers.
was the driver for this, but the big thing also is Danae and Dennison had gone through and redlined a substantial amount of this registration ordinance. But specifically with the temporary vendors, one of the things is there actually used to be a section in here specifically detailing the Arts Guild Art Fair and the Farmers Market only, as the only sponsoring vendors. This now takes a lot of those rules and processes and allows that to go out to more potential businesses. So again,
Because the Elks Club has a craft fair, or St. Agnes has a craft fair.
And a good example is we did have a situation where there was an event being held in town. There's several small vendors coming from Billings. They collected, their remittance for resort tax was gonna be around $30, $40, but then they ended up getting hit with a $750 penalty.
I think we talked about that last year.
Exactly. So that's one of the big, that's one thing that brings this up, is the fact that, this is a way to streamline that, to make it to where there's less red tape, less runaround, makes it easier on city clerks as well as the small businesses coming in.
And it's not a small thing to have someone work under your business registration. You're taking on that responsibility to make sure they're collecting the tax, and you'll have to.
But you're taking it on rather than making staff take it on.
Yeah, so then you're.
Well, who's gonna vet the sponsors?
Oh, you already are. It would be, you would catch it in an audit. They have to keep track, they have to keep, they have to keep records.
The city would be the one that would
Yeah,
catch that.
if they got caught in an audit,
If they reported, if there was any sort of question of their reporting, they could defer to an audit, and the city staff would be the ones in charge of triggering that.
I'm not against it, I'm just.
I'm providing what I know.
Yeah.
The primary ones that will be using it will be the Arts Guild, with Farmers Market.
I remember the hatchet thrower was mad last, and she's not coming back.
Yeah.
So that would be she would be a client of this sponsor.
Yeah, if she had come for an event and, a business said, I'm willing to sponsor you, you need to collect resort tax, here's your piece of paper, fill this out for me, here's your sales, here's times 4%, give me that amount of money, made payable to the city of Red Lodge, and I will turn it in with my report.
Okay, and I have one more question. How do they find out who a sponsor is?
They would have to go to a business and say, will you sponsor me? They can still go out and have their own.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to have a sponsor.
Or I think if they came to the city, generally these are initiated by the sponsors of events. So if you think of things like, you think of our major events in town, whether that be the rodeo or the rally, the arts fair, it's things where they are bringing people in and they're saying, we'll take care of this part of the layer for you.
Yeah.
I would like to add my 2 cents that this has come before us an awful lot in the last year. You guys have put forth a lot of effort, and I appreciate that. It's gone through multiple iterations of little words and edits. One of the things that I noticed is all of that effort spent on the municipal code, that in the ordinance itself, we were missing the language that says what we're doing is updating the ordinance. So I would entertain, I would entertain a motion to.
I move to add after the last, now therefore be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Red Lodge, Montana, the municipal code of the City of Red Lodge, Montana is hereby amended in those parts set forth below.
A second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Tupin. Discussion on the motion to amend at the table. All right, hearing none, just for the record, I'm still going to come to public comment before we move on to main action, but I'm going to go ahead and move on the motion to amend. We'll go ahead and do a vote at the table. Hearing no discussion, can I get a motion on the amendment?
You mean a roll call?
Can I get a roll call on the motion to amend? Thank you.
Battle?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie? Yes. Ruth?
Yes.
Tupin?
Yes.
All right, 6-0, motion to amend passes. Any further discussion at the table before we go to public hearing? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and open this to public hearing. This is public hearing specifically related to Ordinance 907 to update Title III, Chapter 1 of the General Business Registration Code. Go ahead and open public comment, looking first to those in the room. Seeing no one crowding the podium in the room, I will go to online. Looking for hands raised or mutes. Going once. Going twice. And 3 times. We'll go ahead and close the public discussion on that. And again, for those new faces that are here, I hope you're seeing this process as it plays out and knowing that we're giving ample opportunity for comments on all actions that we take. Any more discussion at the table before we do a roll call? All right, let's call a question on Ordinance 9-7. Get a roll call, please.
Battle?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie? Yes. Ruth? Yes. Tupin?
Yes.
All right, 6-0, motion as amended passes. I will entertain a motion for ordinance number 963.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 963, first amended, an ordinance by the City of Red Lodge, Montana to regulate short-term rentals within the city limits.
I second.
I'm sorry?
First reading.
First reading. Sorry, David.
I second.
All right, no, we're good. We're working together. All right, so I have a motion from Councilmember Tupin for the first reading of 963 with a second from Councilmember Ronning. Discussion at the table.
So specifically, as kind of mentioned before, this ties in with 907 as this was something that needed updating after we put 963 into place, putting in the regulations of the cap and the limit. There were some questions on just overall process and procedure as well as definitions that needed to be clarified. We did couple of pieces that we added. We took the pieces out of 907 that were clearing up short-term rental regulations, put them into 963. So all of the regulations are now in 963 specific to short-term rentals. And then on top of that, we did go through and adjust some of the definitions. We also added 2 additional categories. So there are 5 total categories. I'm going to just go through this very slowly. There's the general short-term rental. There's a professionally managed short-term rental. And both of these go up to the cap. So essentially there's a cap on both of these categories. They split that cap between 45 and 55%. There are then also 3 exempt categories: owner-occupied short-term rentals, on-site managed short-term rentals, and temporary short-term rentals. The owner-occupied short-term rental is somebody's primary residence and they reside in the home during the rental period. The on-site managed short-term rental has 24-hour management on-site during the rental period. And the temporary short-term rental is for someone who would like to rent their property for no more than 60 days in the year. Does not have to be sequential, but it also has to be their primary residence. So specifically, that would be somebody who is a snowbird or doesn't want to be here in the summer, whichever category you feel that you fit into, as long as it is your primary residence, or I'm sorry, principal residence.
Yeah.
We did a lot of language cleanup today.
Yes.
Your principal residence, and it is rented for, or it's only listed for rent for no more than 60 days a year. That's also a very important differential. So
But it also has to be designated dates. Like you
Yeah.
have to know
Yep.
the dates ahead of time.
you have 60 designated listed days. Of those days, I would be shocked if anyone was actually able to rent all 60.
So we didn't want it just like you list your house all for 12 months. It's
Yep.
like, no, I'm gonna be gone during July because I don't want to be around all the tourists.
Yep.
So
That's
I'm gonna
exactly
pick
it.
up. Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to make some.
Or I'm gonna be gone in January
Yep.
because I hate it when it's 40 below. even
Or
though
I
that's
like
not
to do
happening.
a property swap with these two couples down in California, and why not bring in the resort tax and also make them follow through with the same regulations that every other short-term rental has to follow? So that's one other piece as well, is this ensures that everybody is collecting resort tax as they're supposed to, as well as following all the public health and safety regulations and application requirements that everybody else has to follow, leveling the playing field and keeping it safe and healthy for all. On that note, we did have a discussion this morning about several of these definitions and where they needed a little bit of adjustment. So I would like to amend this, and specifically, let me pull up those amendments here real quick.
And we'll get these to you in writing afterwards.
Correct.
She's like, please.
So if we could please amend item C, owner-occupied short-term rentals, to read: I, any residential dwelling that is rented by or on behalf of the owner to the general public for a transient occupancy of 30 days or less for compensation and is designated as the owner's principal resident as defined in MCA. Two, I'm gonna not do I, so I'm gonna do two. At the owner's discretion, the home may be professionally managed. 3, owner may reside or must reside at the premises during the duration of the rental. 4, owner-occupied short-term rental registrations will be assigned to the tax-assessed property determined by the property tax assessment code and the corresponding owners of that property. I would also like to include or change the language under D, on-site managed short-term rental.
So this, just clarify,
Can I-
this is in its completeness. So if you didn't read it, it's now gone from C. It's only as you read it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. D, item 1, any residential dwelling that is rented on, or by, or on behalf of the owner to the general public for transient occupancy of 30 days or less for compensation and has on-site manager on premises at all times during the entire duration of public occupancy. Item E, temporary short-term rental. Item 1, any residential dwelling that is rented by or on behalf of the owner to the general public for transient occupancy of 30 days or less for compensation and is designated as the owner's principal residence as defined in MCA. Those are the amendments.
And so in all three of those, they were stripped down to just that. There's not additional pieces still remaining?
Yes, if, for each of those items, as opposed to me making an edit to one word and trying to explain the context,
Yep.
I just thought it would be better just to read out the entire
So
section.
to replace C, D, and E as proposed.
Yes.
I have a motion. Did I get a second on that?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Councilmember Tupin, a second from Councilmember Ronning. Discussion on the motion to amend at the table.
I would just want to clarify that on E, for example, I, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are still included.
Correct, yes.
Oh,
It is.
So to your-
Okay,
So to your
that-
point, that sounded
That was
different.
because on
Yeah.
C,
I did the whole thing because
On
we
C.
had multiple edits through C.
Okay,
But
but-
there's a reason I read out each of those articles.
But D and E still have everything down below.
You just,
Correct, just a
Okay,
few words.
okay. Yeah.
I will
Got it.
send over the marked up copy to Lonnie as well as to the rest of the council. We can include the marked up copy as well as the edited copy in next time's packet. Does that sound good?
and it does have to pass a second time, so if there are concerns and problems, if somebody says, ooh, that's not what I realized I was signing off for, we just restart that process. Councilmember Davis.
As Jody had amended the ordinance number 907 amended here, after now therefore be it enacted,
Yeah.
do we have to do that as well? as
We will,
ordinance
but that'll be a
963?
separate motion, so
Okay.
we'll have one motion to amend, and then we'll hit the additional motion to amend.
Okay.
Good catch.
Thank you.
Have that
Well,
over.
I won't make that motion.
I have it.
And I did not write it down. That's what she said, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any discussion at the table on the motion to amend? All right, again, I'm gonna do as I did on the last one. In the interest of time, we will have, public hearing on the main motion, but at this point, let's get a roll call on the motion to amend C, D, and E as presented.
Battles?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude? Yep. Cupid?
Yes.
6-0, motion to amend passes. Are there any other motions?
Yes, please. I move, that under, now therefore be it ordained by, couldn't find it in here, I apologize. Now therefore be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Red Lodge, Montana, the municipal code of the City of Red Lodge, Montana is hereby amended in those parts set forth below.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Davis. Even if you didn't all hear it, I'm right next to her and she's on my good ear, so I did. Discussion at the table. Seeing none, can I get a roll call on the amendment?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude? Yep. Cupid?
Yes.
All right, that brings us back to the main motion on the table. Any further discussion at the table before we go to public comment? Seeing none, let me go ahead and open public comment specific to ordinance 963 regarding regulations on short-term rentals. And we'll first look in the chamber. That rush hour is over. Let's look to online. Any comments online? Going once, twice, 3 times to make it official. We'll go ahead and close the public comment and bring the discussion back to the table. Any further discussion on 963 before we take action? Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude? Yes. Cupid?
Yes.
6-0, motion passes. Thank you. I know, again, a lot of work has gone into those. Even as some questions came up from the public as that information got out there, there was some work to help clarify that.
Jody,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, will you please send me your amendment, if you have it typed?
I do not, but I can give it.
Or just at the end, if you can hand that to me and I can put this
Yeah.
one together and send it to her.
Are you okay if we do it with that?
Yeah.
That,
Thank you.
that has
The wording.
and you can go copy it from that if you want to.
Good.
Yeah. All right, I will entertain a motion on resolution 3728.
No, it's sorry. Okay, I move to approve resolution number 3728, a resolution authorizing the City of Red Lodge to adopt and approve the Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program.
I will second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table.
So, we've talked about this before, but just so everyone knows, this is, creating a program, to help, as it states here, for health and safety and welfare of the citizens of Red Lodge to, for the city to match, up to $10,000 if someone needs a new sidewalk. So that's why it's called the 50/50 program. They would be, responsible for 50% and us 50% up to $10,000. So that's the max amount that we would pay. It's a cost-sharing program. I don't know, and I would like you not to read the first Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program in the packet. It's actually the second one. For some reason, that first one got in there. So it's
21.
So
Yeah.
there's two sections that are 3 pages long that start out, Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program. And this was one of the early working drafts. So you're looking for the Appendix A is the one that has 3 separate paragraphs above summary versus the one that only has 1 paragraph above the summary. And they both made it into the packet. The other thing kind of in line with that is, as Council President Ronning alluded to, the working title of this was the 50/50 Sidewalk Program, but it's officially called the Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program, RL SLIP. And so you will,
RL SLIP,
SIP. I would say SLIP was not necessarily bad. That'd be kind of one of those fun acronyms.
CAD.
So while we tried to catch that in a couple places, I anticipate there will be some motions to change the application to match,
Yes.
and also the,
So-
the application and the consent for construction.
Yes. So I would like to go ahead and make those motions now. I would like to move to change the title to from the 50/50 Sidewalk Improvement Program application to the Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program application. And then on the next page, I move to change the title of the City of Red Lodge, Montana 50/50 Sidewalk Improvement Program Consent for Construction to City of Red Lodge, Montana Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program Consent for Construction. And then I would also like to move to add a line on the consent for construction to also include a signature for the contractor to sign as well.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion on the motion to amend.
And just so you know, we're adding the contractor's signature to this because we are saying in the consent for construction that the contractor will be responsible for collection of the city's share of the cost of the project, and they will also be responsible for the collection of the property owner's share of the cost of the project. So we should probably have the contractor sign off and let them know that they're responsible for the collecting of the money.
The form states that the city will not be responsible under any circumstances for the individual's portion of it, but I realize that the contractor may not have seen that, so there's wisdom in having the contractor sign off on that before he starts the work as well.
Is there any questions on the program itself that we?
Well, let's limit it to the motion.
Okay.
Let's limit it to the motion at this point. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing none, can I get a roll call on the motion to amend, please?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniels? Yes. Davis?
yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes?
Tupin?
Yes.
6-0. Back to the main motion. Discussion at the table?
Yeah, I was just wondering how we're gonna get this information out there for those who aren't watching the.
We're gonna make sure that the press is here
Yes.
and that they have access to all sorts of good information. It has also, we have been talking about it in the several meetings. We can get something posted at the front bulletin board, so I'm open to ideas. We can also blast it out. Lonnie, will you make a note that we want to send a blast out for all of those who've signed up for city communications? And by the way, I will mention to anybody within the sound of my voice, if you are not signed up for Google Groups and all of the city things, if you go to the webpage right now, you're going to get the first thing you have to go through is a little emergency splash page that says, hey, sign up for stuff, click here to get some more information. So if you just go to the City of Red Lodge website, you'll have the opportunity to sign up for those notifications as well.
Maybe rip my
Well,
plan.
shouldn't there just be a little, in addition to all this, a little trifold piece of paper with explaining it with the application on the back?
That we mail to everybody?
No, just,
Oh, we can,
it's
yeah,
available.
we can have it at the front office available. I'm okay with that.
We're sidewalks in town and give it to them.
Yeah, well, that's.
No. So one of the things to point out, from a public notice standpoint is in the application, it says the application deadline opens on July 1st. we are actually halfway through the first year, so it will be effective immediately as soon as council passes this resolution. Doesn't have to wait 30 days, right?
Right.
Lonnie, that's only ordinances?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as soon as council takes action, whether that be tonight or at some future time, it's official. And then there will be yet another cycle, assuming this is successful and council chooses to refund it in the next, then there will be another session that starts at July 1st.
And it is first come, first served, so if you want to get those sidewalks done, now it's
And there'll be a 4-foot dump, right, when that happens.
well, you can.
And to me, that would be successful, right?
That'd be
That would be the wonderful thing is if, and it is subject to be renewed every year and it has to be approved on an annual budget cycle basis. So we'll see if it's successful. Councilmember Davis.
Yes, and so just a little backstory for the public, it is from resort tax funds, right?
The 50,000 that we're matching is from resort tax.
And, it's for businesses and personal residents.
Correct.
Correct.
Which is, important to me, but.
Yeah, one of the items that was discussed initially that did not make it into this first draft of that was there going to be a mechanism to consider projects to relay on to the Public Works Director if there was projects larger than 10,000 or larger than 20,000, which means the half is 10,000. That was based on the fact that there was a fear that what happens if people don't hear about it or don't take action and it doesn't get used. I think at this point, I'm really genuinely hoping that it all, like I said, to me, it'll be successful if all of that money gets used up. So when they review it, they may look at seeing if they want to do that in future years.
And part of the reason why it also didn't get included is because we wanted to come up in order for the Public Works Director to say, yeah, I'm going to approve this project where I'm matching 15,000 of your $30,000 project, is we wanted some type of criteria on why they would do that. And in other towns where they put that in there, it was based on, it's a sidewalk that gets a lot of use from the general public. It's not just someone's sidewalk, in the front of their house or around their whole block. It was more for the public good. And do we want to put something like that in there where there's a criteria in order to do a bigger project? Like at the Community Foundation where it's a whole block or, or if we do a whole street all the way up to the high school that needs to be done.
So we may come back and revisit this after lessons learned for the first 6 months. So,
Great start.
Councilmember Tupin, you raise your hand?
Yeah, the only question I have is there something that I saw that what the city is not willing to do. I just want to make sure that if a bid comes in, there is the opportunity to deny a bid if it seems suspiciously large. Sorry, I just know from, again, would not like to see this abused. I think this is a really good program, and obviously I think that people will use their best instincts on that, and it might be a lesson learned thing, but I just think it is something worth noting that they should be able to say no if for some reason that 10-foot section is looking real expensive and that $10,000 is just going to get split between the owner and the contractor.
I thought we had in there,
I know it does have to be a license.
Yeah, there's an inspection, but again, it doesn't necessarily say anything about the actual bid denial. And again, I'm not expecting.
But what is the appropriate audit checkpoint in there?
Yeah, and again, I don't have that criteria. I just want to be sure that it's voiced that, hopefully they will use their best judgment and not get.
It does say city work shall be contingent upon, I guess.
No, that's the additional work. So a second part, in addition to the $10,000, they'll help lower the cost of the project by we'll come in and do the destruction and removal of the old sidewalk.
Okay.
But that's contingent on them accepting it, and there's multiple reasons. It may be workload doesn't allow us to take it, or it may be that your sidewalk is next to a 3,000-year-old bronze statue of Aphrodite, and it's a relic, and we don't want to get close to that with public.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at the,
Again,
I thought we had that in there. But
I thought there was a criteria for it, but it's not.
I think it's something that just shows assumed that.
Yeah.
But also I just want to make it, that's all. Otherwise, I'm good
It does
with
say
how it
Public
is.
Works will schedule a meeting with you to review your application.
Yeah.
So that may be where that would be that opportunity.
I think that.
And to include that, say, and may deny it if it doesn't pass the muster.
And I think all it has to be is, Public Works can choose to deny an application at their discretion.
Do you want to go ahead and make a motion on that?
Do you want to
sure.
make, that's
I
on
will
the
make a
application?
It's on the
Motion.
application, yeah.
I will make a motion to amend the application under B, we'll call that B, should that be?
Well, just say public, do you want a hard copy to scribble on and write stuff on?
Yeah. Public Works will schedule, okay, I move to amend, the 50/50 sidewalk program, or sidewalk improvement program application to read, after Public Works will schedule a meeting with you to review your application, and may at that time choose to deny or approve.
Could we just say to review and approve, and then they could elect not to?
Yeah, you just threw me off.
I'm sorry, I'm a doctor. My bad.
Review your application afterward and just say, Public Works. Public Works may approve or deny at their discretion, or deny applications at their discretion.
It's kind of important
I-
to have
No,
both.
I have a concern with discretion in that it's subjective and it doesn't give them the criteria.
And let's not amend it.
to-
Well, you could also put, should the bid seem exceptionally high or higher than average, or, I don't know.
I mean, all I know is we have it for our events, that they can approve or deny applications at their discretion, included in our events application.
Can I just?
So I think we trust our public staff, or we just do a lesson learned moment where it's like, hey, if someone fights us on this, again, I don't actually foresee this being a problem, but it's better to plan for a problem than not.
Would we be, and it kind of is still something, if it said review and approve your application, because that, like I said, that's intrinsically has a disapprove, but then you'd have to have it, you better be able to explain it if you do it. There's it's still subjective, it still has the
Or
same
just
problem.
add, to, Public Works will schedule a meeting with you to review your application and determine eligibility.
I like that. That's good. That's
All
really
right.
good and short.
So I have a motion to review your application and determine eligibility.
Yes. That's really good. Good job, Jody.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning and a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion?
Isn't eligibility is very similar to discretion?
Yeah. But that's
Well,
okay.
but it's different because it's not at their discretion. Eligibility
Yeah.
will be based on,
Yeah.
you know, someone's gonna
Criteria.
charge you $20,000 to do 8 feet of sidewalk, that's probably not eligible for the program. You need to get a different contractor. Because that could be your buddy and you're splitting it on the side. I don't know. Like,
I don't think we leave it as it is
Yeah,
and
leave
change it next year if we have a problem.
I like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, it's just too, goofy.
There is a motion to amend on the table. It can either be withdrawn or we can vote on it.
I withdraw.
Okay.
You didn't make it.
I
did.
No, she made it and she
Oh,
seconded
You made
it.
it, and then I made it.
I'm good withdrawing it if you want to just
Okay.
move forward.
Motion has been withdrawn.
Yes.
All right, now that takes us
Okay,
back,
I
motion to
just-
amend has been withdrawn.
I trust our Public Works Director to tell the people that they're being ridiculous,
That might
they're
be
being
Mike.
ridiculous.
Okay.
Mike.
I know.
Okay.
Where's Mike?
All right, any further discussion at the table before we go to public comment on the Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program?
It does say at the top that Public Works will evaluate your request. I feel like that covers it.
Oh, good.
And where is that in there?
It's the very top of
The
the
very-
application.
Very top.
Oh, God.
That's where I was looking at.
I was like, that seems good, but if you want more. I don't-
You need to
Gonna
speak
go
up
home
sooner,
and go
so to
bed.
put us
I'm
out of our
sorry.
misery.
I mean-
That's where I thought you guys were trying to put the amendments.
You were on a roll.
I read that too, and I was like,
It's been a whole day of meetings, so it's like, we get a little rummy towards the
To
end of the
evaluate
day.
request of consent for construction, okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, So we're done at the table?
Yeah.
All right, I'm opening the floor to public comments specifically to the Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Program.
Hope Smith, 517 North Hauser. I think it's a great program. I'm really glad you're doing it. Part of the problem with the tourism grant was people didn't get the information because they don't go online, that sort of thing. So I would suggest that you post something at the post office, the grocery store, the senior citizen center, and the library. Almost everybody would go hit at least one of those places.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was really proud.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Second comment.
Any other public comments, tied to the Red Lodge Sidewalk Improvement Plan before council takes action? Seeing no action in the chamber, let me go to online and see if there's any comments. Again, looking for raised hands, cameras on, or mics unmuted. Go ahead, Seth, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, I was just curious on the sidewalk improvement project. Is the contractor, is that a city contractor? Or does each individual have to get their own contractor to do the sidewalk?
Okay, what we're gonna do, so I'll answer that at the end of this, but right now I'm just taking comments, but I will be able to answer, yeah, I'm gonna keep it consistent, so I'll answer that at the end so it's not a back and forth discussion. Any other comments? All right, seeing no other comments, going once, twice, 3 times, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. We'll bring it back to the table. During public comment, there was a question asked regarding the nature of the contractor. Do you want to address that, or do you want me to? I'm happy either way.
Go ahead, Andrew.
So, all it says is that it does have, so it's not, the city is not involved with that. The individual property owners, are responsible, but it does have to be a licensed and, is it licensed and bonded? Licensed and insured contractor. So they have to be licensed and insured within the state, but residents are able to go and find their own contractor. Furthermore, one of the items that came up during discussion multiple times is that there are multiple neighbors in a row, that it may be advantageous and they may get a better price quote overall if 2 or 3 or 4 adjoining houses go out and jointly seek a bid to do that. That generally is a better price. The goal is to make every dollar go as far as possible. So I hope that answered that question. And I apologize on the format. It's just a matter of public comments. Is we listen and then we respond separately afterwards to help avoid back and forth during meetings. Any other discussion at the table before we take action? Hearing none, can I go ahead and get a roll call, please?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Rude? Yes. Tupin?
Yes.
6-0, the motion passes. Thank you all at the table for your work into all of that stuff, and also thank you to the public. The second part of the meeting is where we talk about future things that are coming before council. Again, I'll just take this opportunity to communicate to the public that we work very, very hard to make sure that everything is vetted before action is taken. And so it goes to the standing committee meetings after appropriate time there. When it feels like it's ready for prime time, it comes to the council in the bottom half of the agenda, which is the work session. And a lot of times you may hear us refer to it colloquially as below the fold. If you were to fold it in half is where that term comes from. And it's part of how it's part of how we make the action part of the meeting go so quickly, but sometimes it still takes a little bit of time. But aren't you glad it's not the first time and we're trying to work out all those kinks? So with that, what we'll do is we'll go standing committee by standing committee, and we'll look first to public health and safety. And for that, I'm going to look to Council Member Rude, who led that meeting this morning, and I might add, did a really fantastic job of it.
Discussion tonight. Oh, aren't we, we're discussing the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to find my ordinance. I'm sorry. Too much paper. Anybody got an ordinance I can borrow?
I can show it to you on my screen. If it's in here, I don't even know if it's in here.
It is.
It is.
It's next in the packet.
There's a lot of it, there's packets.
I know, a little bit. Or it's on, I don't know.
Sorry,
Oh,
I'm very
20
sorry.
page 26.
We tried to make the order go.
Okay, I got it. Here's it. Mailed in for you. Because I read small. Okay, ooh, too big. Right.
Too big, too big.
Okay.
Okay, well, we have been working on that. Well, we started in December or November, and, thought we could talk about it tonight. And if anybody has any questions, it's just been updated since, was it like 15 years ago?
Yeah.
And we've included more parks and, what else?
If I may, the first just specifically included 1 or 2 named parks. The new one just says city parks, so if new parks are
I'll see.
developed, then they automatically fly into that. There was an amendment that I had identified because it says, in the second part, it also says recreational facilities, and we were gonna amend that to say city-owned before it goes, so it's city-owned recreational facilities.
And then also designated parks unless strictly excluded. Did you want to add that?
Use your outside voice.
Oh, okay. So he mentioned that this morning on this restriction shall apply to, we had all city designated parks and then, and recreational facilities and so on. And, he suggested to put all city designated parks unless specifically excluded.
That was if you wanted to cover
The city
that.
pool is a designated park, so you don't need to put that in there.
Okay, leave.
But Mike, is there ever gonna be a pool that is there ever gonna be a park that you say, yeah, tobacco products are okay there?
Yeah.
That's council's discretion.
Smoking park?
Smoking park, yeah, there you go.
I can see a really cool part.
And again, there isn't a right or wrong answer. That is, what is the will of council? Is it all, or do you want to write a loophole in there and says unless it's excluded by resolution?
Toby's not gonna do this.
Well, and I guess I don't really know, why recreational facilities have to be in there, because most of those recreation facilities are in a designated park. Correct?
So I don't know, for instance, and this will actually come up in another discussion. I don't know right now that the baseball fields are technically part of Coal
Yeah.
Miners Park.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's part of the question that came up earlier. So, and
Well,
I just,
and-
if we keep 2, I just think it needs to specify city-owned so it doesn't make it sound like the bowling alley or, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an
yeah.
indoor thing and that's covered in
Yeah.
square.
Exactly. I mean, and there, yeah, I guess, I would be okay with all city designated parks, but I don't really know. I think most of the recreational facilities that we would care about would be in a city park, and I
I don't like spelling it out. Just,
Okay.
so, you know, like, why not?
Did you want to borrow a hard copy to look at?
Sure.
Yeah, so, and I guess, my only other thing is like, I agree definitely on the smoking, for sure, you know, anything like that. There's a lot of tobacco products that you don't even know people are using. Yeah, Zens, and, I mean, and I understand, you know, obviously tobacco spitting is disgusting, and that's, I mean, we could definitely say no spitting in the park. But I guess, you know, and no littering, it's already against the law to litter. But I guess I'm just, if you're sitting at a soccer game with your kids and you have a nicotine addiction and you use a Zen, I don't really have a problem with that.
And is that an actual tobacco problem?
Product,
Product?
yeah.
Nicotine.
Okay.
But yeah,
So, and again, where this originated was, that was 2 parts. The county health coordinator, I'm trying to think what the exact title is.
yeah,
Had kind of reached out. It was kind of a piggyback on the state change to indoor stuff and tried to make it match. And they were coming and saying, let's make a push where there are no tobacco products in parks. And that's what the standing committee has done, is work to do that. I'm hearing,
Well, and I
I'm
don't
not
know
sure
if
that I'm
it's
on board with that, which is fine and
Well,
wonderful.
no, I'm fine with parts of it, definitely.
Okay.
But there's some, you know, I mean, I guess, is this in nicotine versus tobacco? You know, I guess
And
that is different too, so.
I'm just thinking of baseball coaches.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Baseball coaches.
And again, this is the part to have, if there's discrepancies between council, this is the part for everybody to discuss it and.
You know, we don't, well, our Parks Board is working on getting signage up, but
Mhm.
a lot of places, they don't know it's a city park.
Yeah,
And until we have signs up that say this is a park, then I think we need to spell it out.
I mean, I'm totally okay with putting no smoking signs up in city parks.
Well, there is one at the dog park.
Yeah.
There's one at Pride Park right next to an
Yeah.
ashtray.
Okay.
There is.
Okay.
But I don't mind having more information that maybe is necessary, just to
Yeah.
spell it out a little.
Yeah.
Are there any changes that you feel you need to see made to move forward and get you on board?
Well, I'm not necessarily not on board, I question how to enforce some of this, like especially tobacco products, you know, like chew or Zyn, you know, whatever, spit it out, yeah, whatever you use. I don't know,
Well,
I
and-
don't
and-
do,
and-
I don't do nicotine, okay, I just have family members that do chew and tobacco, and most of the time you don't even know that. Sorry, go ahead.
As
Rambling.
a smoker, previous smoker, I guess, as of recently. One thing I will say is, generally speaking, unless you are being disgusting, people won't care or try to enforce. Unless you're being offensive with it, people won't care or try and enforce. But it gives that opportunity,
Mhm.
so if you're being disgusting, you can enforce. So I think that is the benefit of having an ordinance like this. It's not like we're gonna have the cops patrolling the parks and like writing tickets if someone's got a dip in. But if someone is a parent that is regularly at those baseball games and constantly throwing their dip out into the like bleachers, or someone who's smoking next to a baby stroller, you have that authority to make the decision as needed, and it gives you that opportunity. So that's kind of where my brain is. Like, I was a smoker, and I smoked in all of the city parks, but I was also courteous about it. I cleaned up my ash, and I cleaned up my butts, and I didn't smoke around children or people. But if someone were to come to me and say, that's disgusting, get out of here, I would also be like, yeah, I will, because I'm
Hopefully we'll
gross.
say it nicer.
The one comment that I will add is, and it kind of came up, and it came up when I was on council, actually, when we were talking about fireworks, you know, is how do we how do we enforce that? We can't run around and chase every.
I know, I'm like,
There is still a
you've gotta figure it
benefit
out.
to having an ordinance on the books, even if it's not completely enforceable.
Exactly.
I think there are a lot of.
We don't catch all the
ordinances
speeders, we don't catch all the murderers.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a good thing we have those on the
Thank
books. So are we ready to move this forward to the action part of the agenda
Yes.
next time, or?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that's fine.
it'll be above the fold of the next meeting. Anything else from public health and safety you want to address?
One thing I'd like to say is that today this is in its infancy, this discussion about, cameras on city property. Talked about vandalism, and I'm gonna research what other municipalities are doing, but this is just something to be thinking about, to have, we have webcams, but we don't have city cameras, and just be thinking about what you think of that. And, I'm looking into the financial part of it, of course, the maintenance part. We talked about getting, animal cams up, if that would be cheaper. But, I didn't really realize that we don't really have cameras up. And if vandalism is going up, this would be, a way to hopefully curtail that.
So we have discussed this a little bit with legal,
Mhm.
as well as with our police department. And so there are certain precautions there, but I think we're to the point now that council needs to decide, is that something we have an appetite for? Do the benefits outweigh?
I'll come back in 2 weeks with a little report.
Yeah, I'd like to know how bad it is before figuring out, like, not gonna order it if I'm not hungry.
Okay, that's it for me, for us.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to admin and finance, and for that, we'll look to council or committee chair Ronning.
Okay. Well, we already talked about ordinance 907 and 963, and that's how we spent the majority of our meeting. I would like, though, to go over our city council rules of procedure. Every January, we do review these and decide if we want to make any changes, because these are the rules that we as council abide by. So please, I don't know if you had a chance to read these. One question that has come up, and the mayor was doing a little more research for us, but that is taking minutes during a standing committee meeting. Currently, we are requiring minutes that are legally sufficient, but technically, legally, we just have that in our council rules and procedures. Legally, because there's only 3 of us at a meeting, we do not have a quorum, and we are not required by law to take minutes, is my understanding. But we had decided to take the minutes so that if a 4th member of council, or if all council wanted to show up for land use and planning or for admin and finance when we're doing budget, they would have that ability, because we would have a quorum at that point. The mayor was going to do some checking to see if the recording would count as our recorded minutes of the meeting, because it's an actual recording of the meeting, and he was going to check with Dan Clark on that. Did you find out anything?
I have not got a response back, but there's actually a little bit more to that, because we do have the recordings online. I have a countering opinion, and it has to do with tenet number 1 of what I've kind of exercised for the last couple of years, which we are a service organization, and we are and then number 2 is we get things done. Number 3 is transparently, consistently, and out there. I think there is a benefit, and I have had specific requests, and I've had people come to have me show where those minutes are online, at which point I realized while we've been taking them, we have not been successful in getting those online after they're approved. We do with the council minutes, but we don't get the minutes from those meetings posted online. But I have had.
They are available if people ask for them, but they are not.
But you don't. You don't know to ask for it if it's what's there.
Yes, they are available.
And so I think we should have minutes. I do agree with I hear and understand the concern with if somebody's taking really in-depth minutes, that they're less engaged in the conversation. And that's part of what my question to Dan was, is what are appropriate alternatives for doing that won't keep people not engaged in the conversation. I know we've had some council members that have said how they did it is they were completely engaged in the conversation, and then they went home and did the minutes as a follow-up conversation, but that was basically sitting through the meeting twice. And so basically it comes back to council and what you guys want to include in that. I will offer that I'm still in favor that we have some written, maybe if we can automate the transcription part of it, and that's what's posted online, I think that meets it. But I think having something that's readable as opposed to somebody having to go watch an hour-long meeting, I just think, and I think that's an important part for our customers. I'm sorry, I've managed customer service organizations my entire life, and I view the citizens as our customers, and I think we need to make that available to them. So I'm in favor of looking at more better ways of doing it, but I'm not in favor of getting rid of them. That's my 2 cents. I won't be voting, that's you guys. But I do get to add my 2 cents to the conversation. Councilmember Tupin.
I agree, we absolutely need to keep our minutes. Personally, I think that it is our best, one of our many ways that we can include transparency as well as create a way for the public to engage. And it's also good to have paper trails and memory, because again, for instance, 963 is an ordinance that we've been working on for 2 years, and sometimes it's very beneficial to be able to reflect back to the minutes just a little bit of context, a little bit of resource. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone into years past of minutes for more information and resources. I think that it's crucial that we keep these, but I do think that, yes, we should find a way to transcribe them verbatim and have those available to the public immediately, or as immediate as we possibly can, as well as to the council members, but also allow us the opportunity to stay engaged. Because I'll be the first to say, I used to be one of the ones that would rewatch the meeting, and it would take me 2.5 hours just to write minutes, and that is time that I would much rather be spending working on the projects that we're talking
Right,
about,
exactly.
or, you know, my actual jobs. And so,
Yeah.
again, there is enough technology in this world to make this happen. It's not that hard. We can absolutely do it. I believe in us.
Yeah.
So,
Councilmember Davis?
Oh,
Oh, I just going where I saw the hands raised, sorry.
that's okay, go ahead.
I would just feel that the consistency is important. Right now, you know, some people like a lot of details, some people like simplicity. I think the consistency will be really good, whether it's the transcribe verbatim or whatever. I do like having our time back as well from having to write down the minutes, and I like being, you know, as taking minutes for one of the subcommittees, I'd like being more engaged instead of just writing to make sure I get everything, because I can't quite hear something if I rewatch the video. So I like the AI minutes if possible. Yeah, and for consistency, so it is available sooner than later, because I didn't have really any guidance, and I just sent them out the night before, which isn't fair to committee members to be able to read through those minutes
That's
or
what most
provide
people do.
any input before the meeting, so
Right.
Thank you.
I think.
Okay, Councilmember Daniels?
No, as someone who takes minutes for subcommittees, and I've taken minutes for almost every subcommittee that I've sat on, knowing that they are recorded, I find that I'm one that's not gonna put a lot of detail into them. So I keep it pretty simple, straightforward, and then if someone wants to go through and see what was discussed, if they want more detail, then they can watch the video. But if we did have an AI version, that would just,
Well, and that would be legally sufficient, is what you're doing, and that's what we're requiring.
And one of the things we can do, again, is if we need to be legally sufficient, Lonnie has a lot of training in that, and we could easily put together a work session some night. There's been some recommendations about making sure everybody knows how to start video recordings and stuff, and Lonnie could give us a presentation on what constitutes legally sufficient minutes, so we're not doing, we've had this conversation before, this is not the first. I'm gonna come back to you, but I saw Councilmember Battle's hand up also.
You basically said what I was gonna say. You know, I think legally sufficient is a good way to go because it summarizes, you know, what was talked about in a sentence or two max. You know, it doesn't have to be a minute by minute. If you're tapping the whole time during a meeting, I don't think that's a good use of.
Yeah, and then when you go, and that's kind of what I've been doing whenever I take minutes. I go over the agenda and I have it pulled up on my computer and I say, okay, we talked about this, we discussed it. And, you know, and if there was a consensus, we are moving this forward to city council.
Right.
And then if so they can look at the agenda and they can look at those minutes and they know what we talked about. And then we get to the bottom and we didn't do that, I'll say, this was tabled. So they don't have to watch the whole meeting to know that we.
Almost what I'm hearing, and before I go to Councilmember Tupin, just so you know, what I'm almost hearing, and particularly the way as Councilmember Battles articulated it, is the problem is in our wording that says each standing committee shall record legally sufficient minutes. It's that in practice, we're doing way more than that. Maybe we need to pare back the practice, not the council rules and procedures. Did I?
That's a good summary.
Did I?
Or we
restate
switch
that?
it to AI, so it's verbatim. I mean, those are, I mean, if you want to continue minutes, I think that's where we're at. Those are our two choices.
Okay, Councilmember Tupin.
I was about to just say that I don't think that legally sufficient is sufficient. So
Okay.
I think that, yes, it is keeping us legal and it gives a brief summary, but so does an agenda. And I don't think it does a decent enough job of covering context or realistically direction or what the actual conversations entailed. I know that you can go back through and watch the videos, but to be able to have a searchable document or a readable document, because it's a lot easier for me to sit on the couch and read through something than it is to pull up a video and watch it, let alone hear some of the things that are happening within those videos.
Yeah.
So again, I personally would like to see an AI and something that's more transparent and more accessible for everybody. Again, the agenda will tell you what the conversation's about. We need to have the details of what happened during those conversations.
So just a suggestion, because we don't necessarily have to vote on this at the next meeting. Could we try?
And I'll add to that, this isn't the only time of year we can do it, so we can do
Right.
something now and still revisit
So what I
it
was
in 6
gonna
months.
say was that, could we try an AI version to see what it looks like? And then, you know, at our next admin and finance meeting, we could do that and see what it looks like.
And a secondary
Councilmember
request,
Tupin, yeah?
Zoom does do transcriptions as well,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
maybe it's just worth trying that
Hitting a
out.
button.
Yeah,
Well, when you guys watch them pull them up,
we can,
it has it on the side.
I'm wondering if that's something that we can somehow extract.
Extract it,
I don't-
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
I feel like that could be beneficial, and it's something that we're already using. Again, I'm all about streamlining
I think
services.
the only problem with those is that you don't have the name. When an AI does it, they don't have.
They don't know who we are.
They can't spell Kuila or Kainu or.
They just don't they don't know who's talking.
Oh,
Right.
So when you
that.
do minutes, you put in there who is speaking.
Right.
When you do AI, it doesn't know who is speaking.
It has a dialogue, but
Good
just
call, yeah.
X and Y.
That'll be interesting. I think it's worth exploring, but I do,
I suspect that it's highly possible we'll get some public comment, on this before we're taking action on it too.
can you give us people that type super fast?
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I would, I'm sorry, did you have
No, go
something
ahead,
else?
go ahead.
I was gonna make the suggestion that on page 3 of the minutes, where we have the order of business and it says the mayor, and it talks about just kind of the agenda, this was something we put in there to kind of future-proof this so that councils, do it. And a couple of things, I just wanted to change it to match what our agenda has morphed into. One of them is that number 8 used to be public comments on the agenda, and 12 used to be public comments not on the agenda. And after going to the league training last year, we kind of came back, the recommendation and suggestion was to just make both of them public comments, and we've done that. And the reasoning behind that is sometimes people can only come to the first part of the meeting and they have to leave, or sometimes people get to a meeting late and they weren't there for the first part. So we've made that change, and I would just like to make those changes to reflect our current agenda and kind of put that as a template for councils going forward in the future. That was I think the only concern that I saw or had to update.
And, you know, I would like everyone to really read through these, because these are how our meetings are supposed to be ran, especially our council conduct of debate and things like that. So, you know, and there's a lot of it, we get a little, not lazy, but loose, yeah, where, you know, we are supposed to, when we talk, we are supposed to be asking the mayor to let us speak. And things like, you know, just things like that. It also is in here where we need 4 yes votes for anything to pass. You know, that's where this comes in. And it's anything, it's not just an ordinance. I think that our charter says ordinances.
Yeah, our order says charter.
But we
resolution, yeah.
have made it even more strict that if we want anything to pass, it has to have 4 yes votes, where our charter just says ordinances. So those are things, you know, so if we only have 5 people here, 4 of those people are gonna have to vote yes, in order for it to pass. Nothing can pass 3 to 2.
Do you have a specific section on that?
It's
what-
section 4, on page 29.
Well, page 3 is of the
It's
document
page
itself.
2 of 7.
Oh, page 2 of 7?
Yeah, a quorum shall consist of 4, affirmative vote of 4 council members physically present at a lawful meeting of the council shall be necessary to adopt a resolution or ordinance or pass any measure unless a greater number is required by law. So there's just some things in here to think about, and, you know, if it's working, you know, we might not want to change anything, but please, read this through really well before the next meeting, and if you're good, we can move it forward, for above the fold, or if you want to have another discussion on it next time, I'm fine with that too. I mean, we're following this until we change it, so it's not a hurry up and get this done type of thing.
Give it a chance.
But yeah, this is our chance if you want to.
Councilmember Davis?
So we want to maybe give it a chance of trying these different avenues before the next council meeting and just revisit it with an update on our input or not?
So what I think I'm hearing is we've had a conversation. We'd like to do some technology experiments before we do this. So I'm hearing probably don't put this up for action next time.
Yes.
Let's operate with how it is, and see what we can do to specifically address the ability to meet the public's desire for something other than having to watch the meeting to get a view of what happened, but at the same time balancing that with the load of council members and or staff to get to that point. Okay, so not moving that forward.
So please review this in depth, line by line, and if there's anything that you would like to change, next meeting will be a good time to bring that up.
I'd just like to say that in the past, before my time, there was a person who was offended that some brilliant thing she said was not in the minutes. And Robert's Rules of Order says minutes need to only report what was done, not what was said.
It's an MCA.
Yeah.
Well, but it's Robert, well, I've been reading that, but I'm just saying, we run the risk of somebody being offended of, that we don't.
That's
you know,
And I would like to add that one of the things you can do in those meetings to all council members is you can say, for the record, I would like to, and that injects it into it.
Yeah.
But but our council minutes and our standing committee meeting minutes are all legally sufficient, which does not mean verbatim at this time.
If we're gonna take minutes, let's post them though.
Yeah, and then and that would be, I actually wrote that down because we can include that and then they'll be posted online.
Yeah.
And it is in there that they're supposed to.
And I didn't realize that was there until I had requests looking for them, and I went to show them where they were, and it's like, oh, they're not there. We're approving them, why aren't we posting them? So we'll follow up with that.
Okay, good. That's all I have.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for the admin and finance? All right, land use and planning, and for that, we will go to Council Member Tupin to lead us in that part of the discussion.
Hello. Had all my notes in.
Do you want me to speak to the first one?
Go ahead.
So on the agenda, there is a request for a temporary shed up at Shelley's Field for the soccer team. According to the still under development rules and kind of like for changes to public owned land, one of the demarcs was if it's a temporary something, that we just send that to the Public Works Director. And so I had reached out to Parks and basically said, here's an example. I just double checking, asking, making sure I understood it to move forward. Parks Board feedback was, yes, we're okay with that. There were then a couple of them that said, well, we want to go up and have a meeting and kind of, I said, well, does that mean that you want to, no, but we'd just like to be invited to go up and look at that. So their feedback was that was okay. When I went to the land use and planning, the feedback was, yes, this meets that requirement of stuff that we just leave to our Public Works Director. But I wanted to just and then over an abundance of caution, thank you. I just want to make sure that is, I want to give council the opportunity to say, well, that's not what I meant, or I didn't think that's where you're going, and I think I saw a hand raising, so I'll look to.
Yeah, basically, I think the consensus is from land use and planning at this point, it is not a council decision, nor does it need to come to council at this point. This is something that between Parks and the Public Works Director, they can make that decision and decide if they would like to approve or deny the shed. If they feel, or if the public feels that it needs to come to council, they can then address us at that point and we can reassess. That's my official statement.
Yeah, and let the record show that the comment was approve or deny this shed, in case it comes across the audio as something else.
Oh, I haven't gotten my one today, so.
Okay, and is everybody on council okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, sure.
so I will relay that on to Public Works, and then at the same time, he'll extend that invitation out to the folks on Parks Board who indicated that they were okay with that. The next one, and I'll let you lead it, but I will add that I handed out before the meeting, there were some updates made to the proposed disc golf MOU at last night's land use and planning meeting, and you all have an updated copy of that. I don't know if you remember and want to summarize what those differences were, if you want to call. I noticed that the proposers are here. If you want to have them speak for a few seconds, I'll leave that to you.
We'll ask you, would you like to speak on this, or would you rather?
I'm happy to speak on it and also clarify that the copy that you have in your hand has the duplicate 6, which is incorrect. I have sent a new copy to the mayor right now.
Oh,
I'm gonna ask you
okay.
to step up to the podium just for recording's sake, so again, we can have very, thorough minutes. Sorry.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There is an error in the copy that was sent to the mayor this afternoon that has a duplicate of item number 6 on it. And when I copy and pasted, I was making some changes, so that's wrong. We'll have to look, 6 and 4,
Oh,
I
6
believe, are
and
the
4,
same.
that I see, okay.
So,
I only have one number 6.
yeah, then the summary of the changes that are different from the original packet were, we cleaned up the language to make sure that everywhere that there is a hole mentioned, we referenced Exhibit A, which is the map, so that you're clear about where the items are. Changed the language from scheduled to organized in one section regarding the timing of things that were happening, and then added some language about making sure that we were following the city regulations regarding signs. And that is basically it. I cleaned up where the putting league was in the center of the island, which may have made it more fuzzy to other people, but those that are there now know.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Those were really all, but you'll need the most current version. Any
Thank you.
questions?
That's
Questions
okay.
for me?
I will share that I received, some public feedback separately that had a concern with the putting green, is that the right term of it? Being in the memorial section of the park. It was kind of like this park was established as a memorial to all of these miners, and it seems weird to stick a recreational feature in the middle of a memorial. So that was one piece of feedback that was provided. There's been some other questions that have come up that I think we have some homework to do before next week, having to do with the specific boundaries of where Coal Miners Park is, and we pulled it, we weren't able to clearly establish that. One of the things that I remember is when we were having the conversation on the proposed tennis courts that were there, as at the time finding that was not part of Coal Miners Park. It was adjacent to Coal Miners Park, because at the time, part of the discussion is, what's the best mechanism to do this? Do we lease this to the high school and have them take on the maintenance? There has since been a concern raised that if we do lease it to the high school, there should not be public dollars going to it. So we leased them the football field, but we didn't help pay for it. So is the difference in MOU, it's one of those, there's some decisions to still be made in the future of either or. There's also a question about maintenance of parks. The resort tax allows for maintenance of parks, but if something is inside of the parks, or if something is not inside of parks, we ought not to be using resort tax dollars for maintenance of it. And then there was a further concern, and maybe you can speak to the whole, it's labeled 9 right now in that tennis, it's 10 on here, but I think it's labeled 9 in person.
It's currently 9.
And that has some new bricks and stuff on it that are recent, like since June is when the pictures were presented that didn't have that information in it. And then there was a concern, if this isn't in a park, why are we building on city property that's not in a park, and it didn't come to council? And so some questions there. So I said, we have some homework to do. And I don't know that we know what those answers were, but I was looking for a moment to try to kind of reach out and text and say, hey, heads up, there's going to be a conversation piece. So that's stuff that I've heard throughout the day. I'll relay on. Other conversations or questions at the table?
I think that's I'm sorry, I raised my hand.
Okay.
I think that's, the main thing is I would like, to get an actual plotted line of Coal Miners Park, so we can see what's in Coal Miners Park and what's not, what's just city-owned land. Because the cadastral shows the whole thing, including the high school, as city-owned land. It doesn't differentiate what's what. And I looked back at the resolution, what was it, 3417, and it had a map there, but it's very hard to read the survey map from the survey company. It shows the dotted line for the high school at least, but then it shows like this dotted line from First Street straight across. Is that the boundary for coal miners, or is it where the high school boundary ends? We don't know that, I guess. We just want to get that established before we start moving forward, because if it's not in part of the park, do we want to then dedicate that, increase the size of Coal Miners Park to include that land? So it's just more of a procedural thing moving forward, because if it's just city-owned land, it's completely different procedures that you have to go through to put, it's not through the Parks Board, it's through City Council moving forward. Does that make sense?
Councilmember, I felt like I cut you off and I didn't mean to. Did you want to add or subtract or?
I'm making a list essentially of items that we will need to be able to make a decision from what I'm hearing. So specifically, Coal Miners plat. I would like the MOUs from Coal Miners Park. And again, I know they're accessible in the folder. I'm just going to make the request to have them sent. And then boundaries of Coal Miners Park, so that plat, then there's also that boundary for Northwest Energy.
Right.
And then if I know that, if there could be some sort of soft approval, and you may have already sent it from Parks as well as Public Works. Those are the things that I have listed of items that will be needed before a decision can be made.
I will say that Parks did approve it, but I will also say that it was a member of Parks that reached out to me and said, "This isn't a park. Why are we approving it?" Or why that kind of raised that issue and concern.
Yep.
And it was like, and my only 2 cents is, this is why we have a work session to give stuff time to do and then bring it to action. And also why we have 6 brains that are working on it to make sure that we're not missing things as we go through there.
I just wish that we had. Sorry, like in my brain, I am sad that we are so far behind on our projects. So this has to be so difficult for other people. That's where I am sad that we don't have the resources and infrastructure in place yet, but we are in process, and
The issue of it being a park or not was brought up long ago.
Okay.
And you even took on the responsibility of researching that.
And my recollection at that time is that it wasn't, because, and the way that the boundary was kind of like at the edge of the road is the edge of the park. And the specific part that I remember was actually in relationship for that, because we were talking about that square where 9 to B10 is, and we were talking about it from the tenants, like before we can do that, council will need to, A, make it be part of the park, or B, lease it to the high school, because we couldn't lease it if it was part of the park, and it's not part of the park, so that is an option. That's what I remember of it, but that's a different thread, and I've slept since then, and I just want to go back and verify it, because what we found when we pulled it today, it didn't answer our question.
Does it change anything that is an existing hole that has been there for some time, in addition to the current 10, which is now labeled 11? And then
planted trees.
the city planted trees that are, like, all of that stuff is down there. And the question is, the MOU is with the city, not with Coal Miners Park. So my agreement, the agreement Red Lodge Disc Golf is putting forward is with you, as city, using some land inside the park, but not necessarily confined to the boundary. So
I agree with you on that.
You have an MOU with the soccer folks, but I'm hearing you say the softball folks, But if the softball field isn't in Coal Miners Park,
Can we still do an MOU, but does it change the wording or does it change? And this is all stuff that was today and into this afternoon. It was turning up. And I attempted to make a couple of phone calls. You have a missed call from me.
Okay.
I don't remember if you have a missed call from me or because I didn't have the time to do it. I wanted to have a conversation. So the question is, and I'm hoping that we have some of these questions answered this week.
Yes. So again, I just made a request for information, so we can make a decision. Personally, I think they've done a great job in putting this together. I also agree with the fact a memorandum of understanding between the city of Red Lodge and Red Lodge Disc Golf doesn't necessarily say that this is, well, I guess, yeah.
It does say at Coal Miners
It
Park.
does. So we'd have to do a little bit of language change. But end of the day, one thing too, just going back to the process and how we'd like to have more information, et cetera, it is a 5-year MOU. So like, if we mess up, we also have an opportunity to change things later.
And we can change it 60 days later. Just because it's there doesn't mean it's not there. I will.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've gone back and we've.
Yeah, I don't want us to get too caught up in some of the minutia when it's something that we'll grow with it. We'll expand. It's not that crazy of a project.
What's your, so homework for this week?
Yes. Would you like me to send an email of requests?
It wouldn't hurt.
Let's do that.
Thank you. My question is, do we wait? In fact, I'm almost here. Do we make a decision now about whether this is on for action at the next meeting, or do we wait and see what the homework is?
Let's see what the homework is.
If the homework is good and answered, do I just reach out individually and say, are we good for above the fold, or?
I think you do a round the table vote on that, because I'm not gonna make that decision for you right now. I think personally.
So that tells me it's below the fold, and then I ask at that point.
Yeah, I think we put it below the fold at next meeting, at the next one we can move it up.
Okay.
It seems a little like there's too much that we wanna know.
And I think the council members that have questions to specifically write those down and articulate them.
Yep.
Again, I want consistency, but I have to figure out how we do consistency without coming across as obstructionist.
And I would also like this map to be in the packet for the public to review,
Correct.
because
And
they
it
have
will
not
be.
seen it.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Very
so,
much agreed on
yeah,
that.
so I think the public needs to review this
Yeah.
a couple times too, so they can see it, what it looks like.
Okay,
So,
so anyhow, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate the edits and all the hard work. I swear we're not trying to make it difficult. And we will get a little homework done and then reconvene at the next meeting.
can I ask, just clarifying,
Yeah.
if there is something you need from us prior to the next meeting, all of you understand we are willing, able to adjust and move forward?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Noted.
Happy to help between now and then.
Yeah. We'll do everything we can to get things going.
Understood.
On that note, next up on the land use and planning, and I'll wrap this up, draft process for designating and changing the use of city-owned land. We did not get to it, because of the two things above that. That being said, every time we get an MOU, every time we get a request, it just helps us formulate that plan a little bit more. Someday we'll actually get it on paper. That is all.
And also go review the 2015 version that's out there if you haven't yet.
Oh, the parks plan?
In the parks, in the parks
Yeah.
plan.
85.
I mean, that's for council as a whole, sorry. All right, any questions for land use and planning? All right, Public Works, and I lost that page. For Public Works is, who chairs that? Is that you?
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
chair, Ronnie?
Sorry. I was done.
Oh, go ahead.
We mainly just talked about, the Public Works update, which I believe everyone now has a copy of. So I will not read that verbatim. So please, just review that. There's some great information in there. Mike's always great with his
Did you-
updates.
yep.
And then, of course, we talked about the sidewalk improvement plan. And then in the future, our next big project that we are going to be tackling is our garbage, can.
Billing policy, how many
Billing
cans
policy.
property, or how do we determine who has to have a can and who doesn't?
Who has to, everyone has to have one can.
Everyone has to have a can,
Yeah.
yes.
But some people are being charged, are being given 2 cans because they have like an ADU on the property and
And a separate water meter, so that's kind of what it's tied to right now.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of this.
So,
Yeah.
so it's, do we want it to be 1 can per lot, and then if you have overflowing garbage, we require you to have 2? Or, you know, that's what we'll be discussing, so. So,
All right.
Feel free
In the interest of time, and I do want to allow some time for public comment at the end. Correspondence, I already kind of made the comment, if everybody would please make sure that if you have anything that you have that you either A, didn't see in the packet, or if you do not see that Lonnie was specifically included on that, please make sure that you forward it on to Lonnie. Just kind of a reminder at the year, and particularly because we have new council members too, if a message is sent out to all council members, that's okay. The public is not bound by rules. Please don't reply to that. You can reply to a person, but don't do a reply all. That constitutes a conversation and starts to open up some doors. So just a reminder on that. Having said that, is there anything else anybody wanted to add to correspondence or bring up during that window? Councilmember Davis.
The Pecannery group has invited, the city council members and city council members, to a tour, on either, I believe, February 6th or February 20th. They're still determining, the date. As you had noted, not more than 3 council reps can be.
No, they can actually go, you're just not allowed to talk about council business when you do that. You can all show up for peace at the same place, you just can't talk city business.
Okay, all right.
Talk to each other, don't you dare.
They were
Don't make decisions, don't
so.
have debate, discussion, or, and it's outlined in the handbook. There's a certain avoiding the appearance of that is always best caution, but I just want to clarify that if you all go to the same 4-year-old's birthday party, that's not a problem.
Okay, but I just
You
wanted
should be,
to
but that's separate. That's a separate discussion.
let you all know that there'll be more information to come, and they have asked us several times, and they're trying to lock down the schedule, so,
Okay.
I'll let you know when that is, and they invite you all to attend and take
All
a
right.
tour, if you haven't done so already.
I would like to, speaking of council rules and procedures, I would like to entertain a motion to allow the meeting to extend beyond 8 o'clock so we don't feel like we have cramped public comment time. It may or may not be used.
I move to extend the meeting to 8:15
I'll
to allow for public comment.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning and a second from Councilmember Tupin to extend the meeting to 8:15 in an effort to help make sure public does not feel rushed during public comments. Discussion at the table? Can I just get a quick roll call?
That's fine.
Adam?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yeah, almost, I'm
It's
sorry.
late.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
Tupin?
Yes.
Or let the rules show we stuck to the rules. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open the floor for public comment. So again, this is for anything that is, in the council's purview. Again, 3 minutes, please direct your comments to me. As we said earlier, it's not gonna be a back and forth discussion. Council will hear, and then there will be an opportunity if council wants to respond at the end of that. If there's anything, appropriate, they can do that. But with that, I'm gonna go ahead and open public comment. I will look first to the room. Seeing no comment in the room, let me look to online. Any comments online? Go ahead, Seth, you have the floor.
Yeah, I would just, Seth Decker, 601 South White. And I would just like to say, you know, as listening to the meeting and how the land use change for public parks is going, I do think that some consideration should be made that, you know, the same process should not be used for a concrete bench in a park as it would be for a concrete slab in a park. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment. All right, any other public comment? Looking in the room? Going once? Going twice? 3 times I'm going to close public comment. Let me add my thank you to council, even though we didn't end up extending over that 8 o'clock hour. I appreciate your willingness to make sure that
It's my
the
favorite
public did
part.
not feel rushed. I will entertain a motion for item number 13. Oh, wait, technically, Jeremy?
Oh,
I'm
Jeremy,
sorry,
yes.
I'll entertain a motion for
Yes.
13.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
I forgot